The moment I stepped into that little notary office, Tyler's hand was on the back of my wife's chair. Not near it, on it. His thumb moved once, slow and casual, like he already belonged there. Lauren leaned toward him, smiled at something he whispered, and when she saw me standing in the doorway, she didn't move away. That was enough. Not the paperwork, not the lawyer, not even the affair. Just that one small touch. The kind people allow when they think the man they're replacing is already gone. My name is Nathaniel Whitaker. Most people call me Nate. I'm 41 years old, and before that afternoon, most people around Lauren probably would have described me the same way. Quiet, always home, used to have a bigger career. They would not have said what that life actually looked like. 8 years earlier, Lauren's surgery changed everything after it. Recovery dragged on. Work shifted. Grief settled into the house in ways neither of us knew how to name. I stepped away from the kind of tech work that keeps you traveling and moved into freelance architecture and secure systems consulting from home instead. Good money, quiet money, the kind that keeps a house standing without anyone clapping for it. At first, Lauren called it supportive. Later, she called it comfortable. Eventually, she said it like a flaw. "You're always home, Nate. You used to be driven. Do you even remember what ambition feels like?" I let too much of that pass. By the time Tyler showed up in the open, the marriage was already over everywhere except on paper. The divorce filing came 6 months after Lauren asked for space. Then came the property proposal. Lauren wanted the house, the SUV, most of the liquid accounts, and part of my retirement funds. The logic was neat, polished, and cruel. I had reduced my professional engagement. I had contributed less in recent years. I had become easier to write around than write with. So there I was that Thursday afternoon, walking into a room where my wife, her boyfriend, and her lawyer had already agreed on what kind of man I was. Lauren's attorney didn't stand. Tyler didn't move his hand. Lauren barely looked at me. I sat down with one dark folder and no lawyer beside me. Tyler smiled at that. Not nervous, not cautious, amused. The lawyer began in that smooth, expensive voice people use when they plan to make theft sound administrative. He spoke about fairness, future stability, lifestyle expectations, long-term imbalance. Then came the phrase he clearly liked best. Given Mr. Whitaker's reduced professional engagement over the last several years, Tyler leaned in, almost like he couldn't help himself. "With respect," he said, glancing at the lawyer and then at me. "This really isn't complicated. Lauren carried the emotional weight of this marriage for years. Nate checked out. We're just trying to put structure around what's already true." He said it calmly, reasonably. That almost made it worse. Because men like Tyler always think if they say something in a boardroom voice, it stops being ugly. I looked at him. He held my gaze and added, "No one's trying to punish you, but you can't disappear from your own life and still expect to keep everything." Lauren said nothing. That told me enough. The lawyer slid the signature page toward me. "Assuming there are no substantive objections," he said, "we can begin here." Then a voice from the corner cut through the room. "Wait a minute!" Everyone turned. My father stood up from a vinyl chair near the wall. Richard Whitaker, 68, retired mechanical engineer. A man who looked ordinary right up until the moment he made careless people regret speaking. He had been sitting there the whole time with his own envelope in his lap, waiting for an unrelated appointment. Lauren looked startled. Tyler looked irritated. My father looked at me first. Then he said, in that calm, deep voice of his, "Son, They don't recognize you, do they? The room shifted. Tyler gave a, "I'm sorry," he said. "And you are?" My father turned to him. Tyler held the look for a second too long. Then something in his face faltered. "My name," my father said quietly, "isn't the urgent part." He placed a thin black folder on the table. Not thick, not dramatic, just exact. He opened it and slid out the first page. Transaction logs. Then another. Metadata trails. Then another. A routing map tying quiet transfers from our joint accounts into layered channels connected to an entity controlled by Tyler Brooks. The lawyer leaned forward immediately. "Where did you get these?" Good. That was the first real crack. My father didn't even look at him. "From records that already existed," he said. "And from a son you all seem to have mistaken for a man who stopped understanding money because he stopped bragging about it." Tyler sat forward now. "This is ridiculous," he said. "Transfers happen all the time in divorces. People move money, rebalance exposure, protect themselves. That doesn't make it theft." There it was. The room actually felt better for having it, because now he wasn't just arrogant. Now he was committed. My father nodded once. "You're right," he said. "Transfers happen all the time." Then he turned one page. "These happened before legal entitlement, through concealed routing, using authentication behavior linked to architecture Nate designed." The lawyer cut in again, sharper now. "Linked how?" I answered that one. "They moved money through systems built on security behavior I created years ago. Quiet verification patterns, signature layers, ledger tracking habits. They assumed I was too checked out to notice." Tyler laughed once, forced this time. "Come on, you make it sound like he invented banking." My father finally looked directly at him. "No," he said, "just the parts you were stupid enough to misuse." That landed hard. The lawyer held out a hand. "I need plain English, and I need it now." My father obliged. "Years ago, after my brother stole from me and my first marriage ended in lies, I built habits into everything. Verification trails, signature pattern logs, transaction markers, redundancy checks. Not because I expected to need them here, because once you learn what betrayal costs, some systems stay running in the background. I stopped checking some of them regularly." My father hadn't forgotten they existed. He had watched enough over the last year to get uneasy. Lauren changing around him. Tyler showing up too fast, too comfortably. Odd refinancing language surfacing through side channels. A banking question that made no sense unless someone believed I had become too detached to trace my own money. Then Tyler made the mistake men like him always make. He mistook quiet for incapacity. My father slid the next page forward. There were the retirement draws, the hidden transfers, the mirrored reimbursements, the draft loan sequence tied to house equity, a planning structure mapping likely post-divorce extraction. The lawyer's whole body changed. He wasn't polished anymore. Now he looked annoyed in the real way, annoyed that he might be sitting inside a fraud problem, not a family negotiation. He turned to Lauren first. "Did you authorize any of this before settlement review?" Lauren didn't answer. He turned to Tyler. "Did you touch these channels?" Tyler started fast. "No, I—" Then he saw the next page. Stopped. Started again. "That's not—" Stopped again. His hand moved to the table, and this time I saw it clearly. A tremor. Tiny, but enough to rattle the corner of the paper under his fingers. That was the moment he really collapsed for me. Not when the evidence appeared, when his own body stopped cooperating with the story. My father asked the question very simply. Did you move money from Nate's joint accounts into channels tied to Tyler while preparing to claim he contributed almost nothing? No one answered. He asked again, slower. Did you or did you not? Lauren looked at me. Only for a second. But in that second, I saw it. Recognition. Not just fear, not just panic. Recognition. She was finally seeing the difference between the man she had mocked for being quiet and the man sitting beside her now, already coming apart because someone older and steadier had asked him one honest question. Tyler looked at the lawyer. The lawyer gave him nothing. Tyler opened his mouth, closed it, looked down. Then, barely above a whisper, yes. Silence. Real silence. The kind that empties a room out from the inside. I wish I could say it felt good. It didn't. It felt final. I looked at Lauren and saw every year I had spent giving away pieces of myself to keep a room calm. Every contract I declined. Every warning sign I renamed stress. Every insult I let pass because I thought endurance made me noble. And suddenly none of that felt noble at all. I opened my own folder. Tyler actually looked confused, like I had violated the emotional rules of the role they assigned me. Inside was a revised settlement, already reviewed, already prepared, clean enough to survive daylight. I slid it toward the notary. This is what I'm willing to sign, I said. Lauren found her voice first. Nate, please. I raised one hand. No anger, no drama. But she stopped. That mattered. Because for years I had let her control the weather in every room we entered. Not this one. I said, I'm not going to fight with you in here. But you don't get to call me a failed husband while stealing from me. And you don't get to rewrite my quiet years as empty ones. Her eyes filled. And there it was. Loss. Not just consequences. The realization that while Tyler was shrinking beside her, the man she spent years dismissing was still the steadier one in the room. I added, I loved you honestly. That part was real. I'm done paying for your contempt. Tyler moved like he wanted to speak again. My father turned his head. That was enough. Tyler dropped his eyes to the table and didn't try a second time. The lawyer reviewed my documents, asked for a recess. No, I said. A tiny word, a life-changing one. We stayed. The house was protected. The retirement funds were ring-fenced pending audit. Vehicle claims were corrected. The transfer issue was formally acknowledged. And the story they had built for that afternoon, that I was some diminished husband too soft to defend the shape of his own life, collapsed without anyone raising a voice. Later, in the parking lot, my father stood beside me under a gray sky. You know what your trouble was? He asked. I let out one tired breath. That I trusted the wrong person? He almost smiled. No, you started thinking being decent meant being invisible. We stood there for a while. Then he said, good people cut pieces off themselves to keep a room calm. Then one day they wonder why nobody remembers who they are. That stayed with me. The months after were quieter. I moved out, then forward, back into work, back into building, back into the parts of myself that had been sitting in the dark too long. Lauren apologized twice. The first time, she sounded sorry for herself. The second time, less. I listened. That was enough. Tyler disappeared the way men like that usually do. Loud on the way in, absent on the way out. I didn't follow what happened after. That surprised me, because the old version of me would have called that closure. But real closure was quieter. I didn't raise my voice that day. I didn't beg to be seen. I didn't perform pain for people who had already turned it into strategy. My father's quiet words did the talking. The facts did the rest. And my silence, used the right way for once, became my quiet revenge. Not on Lauren, not on Tyler, on the man I had let myself become. The one who disappeared politely. The one who kept mistaking self-erasure for love. If there was one moment that changed everything, it was not the confession, not the papers, not even the look on Lauren's face. It was the moment my father stood up, looked at me, and said, "They don't recognize you, do they?" He was right. They didn't. For a long time, neither did I. And that was the first time in years I didn't feel replaceable.